So you really have a kind of gauntlet that young black men have to run. And too many of them that get to high school are just not educational material. And that's why in the book I have a couple of chapters on vocational training. When someone speaks about vocational training, they think about plumbers and carpenters. These are kids that don't have the skills to become that. They may not even have the skills to become air conditioner repair men. As someone mentioned, you need a 10th grade reading to go through the manuals for these more sophisticated machines that have to be repaired. So they often may have to start with pretty low level certificate programs, which they can build on. It could be the first time that they have a positive outcome in their educational experience when they complete a certificate program. And these certificates are stackable. So you get one, gets you a low level entry position, but then you pass the second certificate and you move up. The problem with this is no politician, no anti poverty organization is going to get applause for getting kids into low level certificate programs. Now, if you can get them into carpenter programs, yeah, that'll be good. But these low level programs that unfortunately many of these kids have to start in have no upside politically for liberals. It's putting off for a generation the strong middle class. So they'll shove these kids into community colleges if possible.
This seems to be a very important and perhaps contentious point, so I want to underscore it.
Good.
It starts with a recognition of the cognitive deficits of the target population. I'm sorry to put it so starkly, but that's what we're talking about. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Just the basic ability to perform intellectual work. And the observation is that in a certain segment of our society, and the young black men who are dispossessed in the central cities and are filling up the jails and whatnot are a central part of that population, those deficits are manifest. The people don't have those skills. It goes on to say elite visions about what, quote, reform looks like are formulaic and disconnected from reality. These are my words, Bob, but I'm trying to channel you.
I agree with you.
They think everybody's supposed to get a degree in sociology, when as a matter of fact, that is not I'm sorry, I don't mean to be pejorative. They think everybody needs a 4-year college degree and they're supposed to go to community college and then they're supposed to transfer and whatnot, when in fact, that's not realistic.
Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, Michigan required all of its seniors to take the SAT. The results were, now about 89% did. So this is a particular population, many of whom ordinarily would not take the SAT. But out of that population, only 16% scored 1,000.
That's 500 on each of the 2 tests.
Total, it could, whatever.
Which is total. Below the median, probably, or very close to the median.
But it's also what almost any educator believes is the minimum necessary for you to perform reasonably well in college material.
Yeah.
1,000. 16. And only 3% got over 1,200, which is the number that the much more demanding schools expect. So you have a lot, but let's get back to this 84% that didn't get 1,000. It doesn't do them a service, many of them, to shove them in to college. You go to the community colleges and you'll transfer to the 4-year colleges.
Yeah.
You look at the failure rate out of the community colleges.
Yeah.
It's appalling. And Instead, vocational training is what many need. And unfortunately, many need vocational training at a pretty low level to begin the process
Well,
of them
that's the other
moving
point
up.
that I wanted to call attention to. You're saying not carpenter, not plumber. I mean, and those guys are making six figures if they get in the union and they learn
Yeah,
their
no,
trade.
right.
But you're saying even lower level than that, given where people are, you have to meet them where they are. And
Exactly.
stackable is important because it offers the prospect of a path, not just a one off thing. But I get this one, I'll get the next one, I'll develop into my sinecure, as a
You know,
skilled employee.
and there are places in Louisiana, in South Carolina, where this kind of strategy for high school students has been incredibly successful in moving people along. Uh, but for liberals, it's the 4 year college for all, because that will get you into the solid middle class immediately. That's their claim. Now, you have to be able to get that degree. And in many cases, that degree is becoming uh, deflated, where you have much more social promotion going on. At Brooklyn College, the community colleges, you had to take remediation if you didn't have a level of math and English. And it was keeping people from getting out of the community colleges, the math in particular. So they just dropped that requirement. You don't have to get through remediation. You just go into courses. So you had a lot of students now graduating who had marginal math skills. They wanted to go into business. Well, business, you have to take finance, you have to take economics courses. They were failing these courses. So what did they do? They first said, well, we'll give more student help and this and that. That didn't work. So then they identified faculty who were disproportionately giving low grades to Black and Latino students. This is explicit. They identified the faculty who were giving low grades, and they offered these faculty counseling, like re-education. I'm seriously. That's
Wow.
what. Now, what happened? Immediately, you got grade inflation. So
Yeah.
when I taught, I, when I taught, it was very. I had a struggle not to give 20, 25% of the introductory micro students something less than a C minus or a drop, because that's the student body. And I would be successful in a variety of ways to get down to 15 or so. I talked to a
Wow.
colleague now, 75% of the students to 80% of the students in introductory micro get at least a B or an A. That was that was the result of this threat by the administration that if you're identified as one of these low graders, we're going to re-educate you.
I see the picture. You could write the novel.
Right.
This is Brooklyn College, City University of New York. Very ethnic, very working class.
Yes.
Who are the faculty? I'll bet you they're overly Jewish. I'll bet you they're older. I'll bet you they're white males, not entirely, but
Well, they have a
substantially.
lot of women. There's a lot of women.
Well, okay, a lot
Uh,
of women, but
but
but but and I'm saying, how do you hold the ground? You said 25% with a C or less. God,
a C
I
minus
can't.
or less, 25.
That is a huge number of people at the bottom of the pyramid, and you're right. It wouldn't be sustainable in the modern university in most places.
That's
But
right.
I'm envisioning the picture of the old guards like yourself, grizzled, standards bearing. You're
It
going to
wasn't,
hold the
look,
line. You're going to hold the line against the
I didn't,
barbarians at the gates.
look, I never got complaints from students because I gave all kinds of options to get up to the C. So I'd say if you want to get up to the C, I'll drop one of the three exams. You want to get higher, I don't do that. But to get to the C, I'll drop it. I gave out of class help. I let them use a sheet of notes during the exam. You can't believe what I did. I'm just saying that's the nature of the community college graduates now. A lot of weak students go in, and historically, they don't even graduate. The 6 year graduation rate out of the community colleges in New York, for many of them, was 20 or 25% before they dropped the remediation requirement. So there's a lot of weak students who've been shoved into the community college. And if you then have social promotion and they can transfer to the 4 year, you get this dynamics. I'm sure that's the way it is in Chicago. That's the way it is in most large of the urban areas. They shove incredibly weak students into the community colleges, and then the community colleges are under pressure to have retention, high retention rates, etc. And they then move up to the 4 year colleges because in urban areas, they have very little occupational training. Even if they have occupational courses, they have links to the 4 year and they don't have links to jobs. That's the way it is in the CUNY. They have some occupational programs, but they're all linked to the 4 year colleges because there's this obsession with 4 year college for all.